Welcome back to the Quantum Leap, charting the next decade of medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Nirdosh Jagota. In our last episode, we demystified the quantum computer. We talked about qubits, superposition, and entanglement. We explored why the great physicist Richard Feynman told us that if we want to simulate nature, we have to do it quantum mechanically. And we ended on a promise that this strange new machine could become the ultimate catalyst for medicine. Today, we make good on that promise. Today, we are going to solve the unsolvable. We're taking quantum computing out of the realm of theory and pointing it directly at the single hardest problem in drug design: simulating the molecule of life itself. Let's begin with the fundamental reason a quantum computer matters for medicine. When a drug works, it is because a small molecule physically fits into a specific pocket on a protein, like a key sliding into a lock. The strength of that fit is called binding affinity. If we could calculate binding affinity perfectly on a computer before ever stepping into a lab, we could design drugs with breathtaking speed and precision. But here is the problem we discussed last time. To calculate that interaction exactly, you have to model the behavior of every electron in the system. And electrons are quantum objects. On a classical computer, the moment you try to simulate them precisely, you hit the exponential wall. The math explodes beyond the reach of even the largest supercomputer on Earth. So what does the industry do today? It approximates. Classical methods use clever shortcuts and simplified physics to estimate how molecules behave. These approximations are useful. They've given us real medicines, but they are, at their core, educated guesses. And in a field where a single misjudged molecule can cost hundreds of millions of dollars and years of failed trials, guessing is expensive. A quantum computer doesn't have to guess. Because it operates on the same quantum principles as the molecule, it can represent that molecule's true quantum state directly. The leading technique here is called the Variational Quantum Eigensolver. In plain terms, it's an algorithm that hunts for the lowest energy, most stable arrangement of a molecule, the configuration nature itself would choose. It's the difference between painting a photograph of a cell from memory and looking directly through the microscope. Now, let's talk about the breakthrough that made headlines across the scientific world in June of 2025. For decades, protein folding, predicting the three-dimensional shape a protein prists itself into, has been one of biology's grand challenges. In an earlier episode, we celebrated how AI, through AlphaFold, cracked open the door to predicting these structures. But truly simulating the folding process from the ground up using physics is a computational monster. In June 2025, the German quantum startup Kipu Quantum teamed up with the quantum hardware company IonQ, and together they set a world record. They executed the largest protein folding problem ever run on quantum hardware, modeling a three-dimensional protein structure of up to 12 amino acids on a real quantum computer. Now, I want to be honest with you because this show is about clarity, not hype. 12 amino acids is small. A typical human protein has hundreds. So this is not yet folding a full protein and curing a disease overnight. But that is not the point. The point is the trajectory. In the same work, the two companies solved dense, all-to-all connected optimization problems, the kind that underlie molecular design, using up to 36 qubits, and they found the optimal solution every single time. And critically, they announced they were extending this work onto IonQ's next systems, machines with 64 and then 256 qubits. When you can reliably solve a 12 amino acid problem today, and your hardware is scaling exponentially, the question is no longer if we reach a full protein. It's when. So who is actually building drugs this way? Let me introduce you to a company at the frontier, Qubit Pharmaceuticals. Founded in 2020 and spun out of France's Sorbonne University, Qubit Pharmaceuticals calls itself a digital pharma. That's a radical idea. They have no wet labs full of test tubes as their starting point. Instead, they discover drugs primarily through simulation, by modeling molecules inside a computer. Their platform, called Atlas, creates incredibly detailed physical simulations of how molecules move and bind. According to the company, this simulation-first approach accelerates certain molecular calculations by a factor of up to 100,000 compared to traditional methods. And here is the number that should stop you in your tracks. They estimate their approach could allow a drug program to synthesize only around 200 candidate compounds compared to the roughly 5,000 a conventional program burns through. That's potentially hundreds of millions of dollars and years of time saved. To power this, Qubit built a hybrid engine in collaboration with NVIDIA that fuses classical GPU supercomputing with quantum algorithms. And that word, hybrid, is the key to this entire era. We are not throwing away our classical computers. We are teaching them to dance with quantum ones, letting each do what it does best. We saw this same philosophy in June 2025, when IonQ joined forces with the pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca, along with Amazon Web Services and NVIDIA, to build a quantum-accelerated workflow for drug development. When a company the size of AstraZeneca invests in this, it tells you the quantum future is no longer a science project. It's becoming strategy. Let's step back and see the full picture. Beyond folding and binding, quantum simulation opens the door to designing entirely novel enzymes, biological machines built atom by atom for a specific purpose. It lets us map the reaction pathways of a molecule with a fidelity we've never had. And most importantly, it generates the pristine, high-accuracy data that our AI models are starving for. Remember the theme of this whole series: artificial intelligence guides the strategy, and quantum computing executes the fundamental physics. Together, they form a loop far more powerful than either alone. We are still in the earliest days. Today's quantum machines are noisy, small, and imperfect. The records being set are modest in absolute terms, but the direction is unmistakable, and the acceleration is real. We are learning, for the first time in human history, to simulate chemistry not by approximating it, but by speaking its native language. So far, we've kept quantum computing inside the laboratory, focused on discovering and designing new medicines. But this technology is about to walk out of the lab and straight into the clinic, into the doctor's office, the genomics report, and your personal treatment plan. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Quantum Leap. I'm Dr. Nirdosh Jagota. Next time, we meet the Quantum Doctor, exploring how quantum machine learning will read your genome, sharpen our diagnoses, and make medicine truly personal. Until then, keep looking to the future.